And then, hello all you crazy people out there, my name is Dragonite and welcome back to Harvest December. So, in the last part, Masaki took quite a beating, and in this part, I assume we're gonna figure out how things ended. Because, Masaki kind of blacked out at the end of that last scene. Anyway, why is this happening? I love doing the shouting voice for Mayoi. There's something I wanted to ask too, but I guess we're too far in to get out. Kohai sighed as he stood between the two contestants in the boxing ring wearing a referee uniform. Often people notice things when things have progressed too far when it's too late. Kohai and I, and the two contestants looked up at the sky. It was a fine day. Excellent weather for an event like this. Oh, hi, how are you doing? I don't like the fact that Masaki is being used as the prize. It isn't permanent. Tawada will never let anybody have Masaki. He is your future husband. This is just to give their fight a purpose. Mother? Yuki smiled. The news people have arrived. Yuki was going to be the commentator for the— oh my god. Bashiro pointed out a white van that had arrived. The local cable TV studios had come to make a feature of the event, since they had nothing else better to do. The boxing ring was set up in the middle of the high school track field, and most of the people from the town had come to see the show. We could hear the voices of the hawkers selling drinks and snacks and grown-ups placing bets on who would win. Perhaps it was because people tend to support the local fighter. Shiro seemed to have the more support. Most of the students that lived in the Sakashima supported Mayoi. If there's going to be any gambling, always be the banker, Shiro whispered to her daughter. Tawada and Tagami High School Student Council are proud to present this event. This event is also meant to be as a welcome celebration to the new students at our school, Yuki announced on live camera. Yuki, smile. Like this? That's her I'm gonna kill you face. Isn't it? Anyway, whatever. Yuki forcefully pulled her lips upwards. The ratings would suffer that moment. Ugh, our budget for this season. Mayori, who was standing next to Mashiro, grumbled with her shoulders slumped forward. Kohai sound like so good in that uniform. Oh, Mayori-chan, you want some yakitori? Grilled pieces of chicken on sticks? Often eaten salted or with sweet sauce? That sounds pretty good right about now. Sakura, what are you doing in the VIP tent? Wait a minute. How can you be eating and drinking right now? We're in the middle of a school event. We'll just be partners in crime. Here, open up. Eat this. Isn't this great? We get to make a profit, get publicity, and watch the fun from afar. Mashiro was looking very pleased. I listened to everybody chattering and sat quietly in the corner of the tent. The cloak resting on my shoulders weighed heavily. I wanted to run away, but that was impossible since I was tied to the chair. It's time. Eek! I squeaked in reaction. What's the matter, Masaki? I couldn't see her expression because she had the sun on her back, but I knew that... But even still, I knew Al was sniggering at me. She had something thrown around her shoulders, too. On closer inspection, I realized it was an oversized parka. Reality is... I didn't even finish my sentence. I was so depressed that I so depressed just imagining what I knew would come. You wanted this too, Masaki. I didn't expect everything to turn out so flamboyant. Well, we managed to give Mayoi-san her reason. Reason? To fight Shiro, of course. And she sat down in the seat next to me and sighed. She had been busy for the past 3 days, running errands to set up this event. Running errors. Thinking about computer science again. Her reason to fight doesn't have to be about keeping her promise. What she really needs is just a place where she can test her theories and try out all the equipment she has been inventing. But what if she wins? She won't have a purpose again. If that happens, we just let her revel in her victory. We don't need to help her find another purpose after that. That's what she'll have to figure out herself. Even humans do that. Al's plan was to have Mayoi gain at least something out of the event, no matter whether she win or lost. We even have a prize, she said as she patted me on the head. Can't we change the prize to something else? They were fighting over you in the first place. Where were my human rights? It's time, Yuki announced as she turned to us. Showtime! Al stood up enthusiastically, and the ropes that were binding me in the chair were cut. The cloak fell to the floor. Beautiful, Mashiro smiled. I wanted to die. I heard the drum roll sound off in the distance. Slowly, I made my way towards the small pedestal set up for the, quote, prize, end quote. Everybody went silent. I shouted the way Mayoi did. Oh my god. He's on a leash. And there's manga characters in the background. Don't look! Please don't look! I lifted my hands towards the face in a poor attempt to hide myself. I was still roped and Al pulled me along towards our destination. Except I was wearing a dress. Holy crap, he is wearing a dress. How did this happen? It was a frilly, lacy, girly ribbon dress, the type that dolls wear. The camera flashes went off wildly and the crowd went mad. Mother, where did those clothes come from? They come from my personal wardrobe. The entire audience fell silent again. Everyone imagined Mashiro in their heads. Then they activated their mental photo retouch software. They replaced her kimono with the dress I was wearing. No way! It was an unbelievable image. I think it's cute, Mashiro sulked. Why is this happening? You asked for it. I never asked to be put in a dress. Come on, it's better entertainment this way. Oh, visual novels. The cameras went off ruthlessly. I thought he had a face that could pull off a dress, but I didn't think he looked that good. See, I knew it. I knew he would look good as a girl. I could hear the girls around me gossiping. Why can't they use their eye for beauty to appreciate something else? Yeah, really. There was a pipe chair set up on the pedestal for the prize, also known as me, to be displayed. I was going to sit down in defeat when Al began behaving weirdly. She began circling me while she made growling noises in her throat the way Shiro did. The way she wore a pout when she was figuring something out was another trait she shared with her mother, too. She studied me thoroughly from head to toe. Ow? Let me see. She lifted my skirts. Ah! I screamed like a girl. Kia! And then the girls around me screamed like girls. I quickly pressed the skirt down and sat down on the floor. To think a day would come where I would understand the joys of upskirting. Ow, you're mean. I looked up at Ao, who was nodding in satisfaction with tear-filled eyes. The girls, and a number of boys, gulped in appreciation. Oh my god. That's indecent! Mayuri Yasugi said as she leaned forward to get a better view. Hee hee hee. Why do I feel so defeated? Kono-senpai is kinda cute in that dress. Maybe we should make a photo book. I am really glad I'm recording when nobody else is home. Mother, please do. I just wanted to kill myself at this point. At the side of the boxing ring, I noticed Mayoi had brought a laptop for her wireless device. There were several batteries too, since the calculations consumed a lot of energy. Mashiro says she wants to dress you up in other clothes she has. My legs feel naked. You're having good practice for what's to come. I don't need this kind of practice. I'll enjoy taking that off him. Don't ignore me! Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Shiro and Mayoi were looking at different directions when they chatted in the boxing ring. That didn't look like two people that were going to fight at all. Maybe I explained the rules now. Whatever. Shiro gave her lazy consent to Kohai. The rule is to have fun. That's it. Because even if we set rules, you two are bound to break them. On a personal note, though, I'd appreciate if things don't get too gory. Show more enthusiasm, man! Hey, I should be studying for my entrance exams now, but I've been called here to referee. Put yourself in my shoes. Kohai. Shiro looked at him through slit eyes. Yes? What's your problem? Ellipses? Kohai didn't answer. It's that girl, isn't it? No, it's not. Kohai purposefully looked away from Sanae, who was standing near Ao. She was wearing the same oversized parka. Suit yourself. We'll begin soon. Get back into your corners, please. The two sulked back to get back to their corners obediently. It's about time. To do what? We need to provide some sort of eye candy. Mizuho? Yep. Mizuho, now an excellent accomplice to Ao, walked up. Don't run away while I'm gone. How could I? You've tied me to the chair again. The two of them walked into the ring. Then they threw the parkas off. I was stunned. This is an important job, you know? Mizuho and Ao were dressed as round girls. They caused an uproar in the audience, mainly from the boys. They waved and the camera flashes went off soon after. They walked around the boxing ring, holding panels above their heads. Come to think of it, Ao had never accepted offers for the how do you I don't know how you pronounce that. Google! Figures there was a YouTube video just telling you how to pronounce things. It's pronounced like graveyard, except for instead of graveyard, it's gravier. Okay. Thanks, Google. Come to think of it, Al had never accepted offers for gravier pictures that required her to expose much skin. We were having a rare treat. Then another question popped into my head. Whose ring costumes were those? Ugh, our budget. But yet, Mayuri-chan, you're allowed to them to buy it. I didn't allow anything. Ao-san just sent us the receipt, claiming it was a necessary expense for a newcomer's welcome event. There was a banner hanging by the front gate reading Shiro vs. Mayoi, and on the side, somebody had added a messy scribble, welcome event for new students, as an afterthought. For better or for worse, the battle was about to start. Oh god. Yuki, sound the gong! Kohai spoke into his cell phone from the boxing ring. Alright, but are you sure about that? What do you mean? Look at Shiro. Huh? Hey! Shiro was ducking under the ropes, ready to leave. Wait a minute, Shiro-sama. You don't mean to withdraw, do you? Kohai ran after her, flustered. I don't think it's necessary for me to fight by myself. She sat down on a chair and lifted her chin. I'll fight her only if she defeats Shiru first. Shiru... the wolf! Yeah, the wolf jumped onto one of the posts and looked down at Mayoi. Gruff! Nothing personal, miss, but orders are orders. He jumped down onto the boxing ring without a sound, facing Mayoi, who was clutching Stabbed to Death version 17 with shaky hands. His eyes were unnerving, savage, ruthless, and challenging. Brr! Bring it on! You're trembling. Out of excitement! She put on a brave face, but it was obvious she was affected by the change of events. This is bad. I didn't expect Shiro to get into the picture. Mayoi needed to fight Shiro, not the wolf. Unlike Shiro, the wolf would simply follow orders. He would show no mercy unless he defeated her. What should we do? I looked up at Al. She met my eyes and nodded, telling me she understood. Then she walked over and whispered into Mayoi's ear. Mayoi visibly relaxed after that. I had no idea what she said, being tied to the chair. The gong sounded. Mayoi took a few deep breaths to calm herself down, and this reminds me of the Pokeathlon music. No real reason, it just does. Next, in her left hand, she had Stabbed to Death version 17. On her right, Oh My God is Dying, marked 92F. Her suit was completely covered in protective runes. She carried the entire outcome of her labor on herself now. She was confident they would work. But she had never tested them practically before, so she wasn't sure how well they would perform. Hey! Mayoi steeled herself and walked toward the center of the ring. She glanced at Masaki, the prize of this fight. She had to keep him. If Shiro won, he would be taken away. He was too important to lose. He was the first person ever to understand where she was coming from. So, she had to keep him. She had to. But... Gruff! Looking away from your opponent during a fight? You're confident. Shiro said sarcastically as he paced towards her. Aren't you a smart mouth for a servant? Woof! You're no fighter. You don't smell like one. Mayoi didn't reply to that. Shiro was right. She knew how to make weapons, but she had never used them before. She didn't even have a test subject, and even if she found one, she couldn't strip a god that had done nothing wrong of his powers. Now that she finally had a chance, she realized how unprepared she was. But the weapon in hand now was something that Masaki's well-being depended on. In truth, however, she didn't forget easily that she didn't try to... In truth, however, she could forget that easily if she didn't try to keep that in mind. Because... Gruff! Hey, are we gonna start or not? Shiro was literally looking up at her, but his attitude was condescending. Oh, as opposed to looking down on her, metaphorically. But his attitude was condescending. He was annoying. No, that's not accurate, Mayoi thought. He was in the way. So she beckoned Shiro with her hand. Gruff! What now? Make it quick. Mayoi nodded. Shiro tilted his ear towards her. Mayoi bent down to whisper into it. If you go against me, I'll tell the world what happened between you and Kazumi. She said exactly what Ao told her to say. A few seconds later, woof! Oof, oof! Shiro flipped over. He rolled onto his back, showing his belly. He displayed absolute submission. This is... Kohai watched Shiro shamelessly whimper on the floor with his legs in the air. This means I've won, right, Shiro? Woof! I haven't a clue what that was about, but... Yuki? The gong sounded in a lazy, bored manner. That was not a lazy, bored-sounding gong, I'm sorry. The people around the boxing ring murmured confusedly. Shiro walked back towards the tent with his tail between his legs. First match, victorious. Exactly what was it that happened between Kasumi and Shiro? And do I want to know? That went well, didn't it? I smiled at Mayoi as she returned to her corner. It did, but what happened between Shiro and Kasumi? Ask Kasumi later, it's hilarious. But for now, pointed towards the opponent corner. Concentrate on the real fight coming up. The god of Tagami was waiting. Why are you helping me? Because I want to get back at that hag, of course. I thought she was your family. Mayoi laughed awkwardly. Ao mirrored her expression before leaving the ring. Nene-sama! Mayoi looked back to see Midori hugging the corner post like a koala bear. She tilted her head inquiringly, but Midori didn't say anything. Madoi? Madoi? I've forgotten how I said I was going to pronounce that. I need water. Hang on. Instead, he looked up at her, and opened his mouth as if he didn't know what to say. She wondered if she could return to her corner. How is it? He finally asked in a terribly vague question. How? Mayoi didn't know how to answer that. How was she now? What was happening? After Dog. Did not ask you to vocalize for Shiro. Alright, after learning she had wasted 100 years, she had concentrated on making things, and before she knew it, she was standing up here in a boxing ring with a chance to fight Shiro. How is it? She hadn't a clue. Even so. Leave it to me. She placed her hand on Midori's head reassuringly. That's my Nene-sama. He smiled and clambered down to the post to return to his seat. Now Mayoi was on her own. Are you done yet? Shiro asked lazily as she leaned against her post. Let's get on with it. Mayoi lifted her chopstick gun towards Shiro and rested her wooden sword on her shoulder. The gong sounded. She knew she couldn't win, but she was going to hit Shiro at least once. She was at least going to prove that her theories worked. Just thinking about it made her smile. She was exhilarated she finally had a chance to learn what she wanted to know. There was joy and hope. Maybe the 100 years she spent wasn't a waste after all. Weren't a waste. Because years, plural. You look happy. No, it wasn't a waste. She wouldn't make it a waste. Shiro's smile twisted dangerously. Here I come! Mayoi charged towards Shiro eagerly. Can't be bothered, but I guess I have to, Shiro muttered as she leaned forward. I'll finish you off immediately. She kicked the ground at twice the speed of Mayoi. Mayoi had expected Shiro would come head on. Her body tensed in anticipation, but her mind was clear. She pulled the trigger on her chopstick gun. The rubber band flew forward with a small boing. Shiro lifted her head to bat it away. Then, the audience saw Shiro's body slam downwards onto the floor. They expected her to fly backwards. But what they saw was the odd sight of her slamming down onto the ground at the mere touch of a rubber band. She didn't even bounce. She was simply plastered to the ground as if somebody held her there. Take that! Mayoi swung her wooden sword downwards. Whoa! Shiro lifted her arms to shield herself. The sword hit her right arm. In that instant, Mayoi's laptop began to start its calculations. It received data from Oh My God is Dying version 17 and processed it to derive a suitable rune. Within a second, the data was transmitted back to the sword. The letters realigned themselves on the surface, glowing bright red. Mayoi's sword was now a potent godslayer. Capture, contain, and nullify. The runes ran down the blade towards Shiro's arm, attacking her. Shiro screamed. But she wasn't defeated. She leapt backward and landed several yards backwards. Unable to absorb the impact on her feet, she landed on her knees. My arm, it won't move, Shiro muttered in disbelief. Her right arm dangled limply by her side, a scorching red mark marring her white skin. A part of her had been stripped of its powers. I was hit! It worked! Mario whispered, just as stunned as Shiro was. Her own arm was still feeling numb from the impact of hitting Shiro. The rune on the rubber band had captured Shiro successfully, and the rune on her sword had inflicted damage. Wow! Her heart was beating fast. She looked ahead. She knew they both were wearing the same expression now. Their eyes were wide in excitement. Their lips were curved in a mad smile. Her work of 100 years was paying off. It was working on the Tagami. The problem was hitting her the second time. The first time, Shiro was careless because she wasn't aware what the weapons could do. She wouldn't be so lucky next time, so Mayoi ran. She lifted her sword. Shiro was late in reacting. Yeah! She swung it downwards. How could you miss me when you're so close? Mayoi had missed Shiro, creating a small dent in the floor. I don't have much experience with this. Mayoi was holding the sword awkwardly. It was clear she didn't know how to handle it. You idiot. Shiro punched Mayoi in the stomach using her left fist. Ugh. Mayoi flew across the boxing ring backwards, hitting the ropes and then bouncing on the floor. Stand up. Mayoi didn't need to be told. She was already using her sword to help her get up. Her body was still able. It was obvious Shiro had gone easy on her. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Instead of answering, Mayoi pulled the trigger of her chopstick gun again. Nothing happened. Shiro just stood there watching. Wait a sec, I have to set a new rubber band. Like I would let you. Shiro immediately stepped up and slapped the gun away from her hand. The chopstick gun went flying out of the boxing ring. How could you? Shut up. She kicked Mayoi's legs from under her, leaving her sprawled on the floor. You really are a rookie at this. Got a problem with that? Don't shout unnecessarily. My ears hurt. What should I do with you? Heroes always win! Mayoi stood up, brandishing her sword once more. Good for you. Well, what are you waiting for? Try it again. I don't need to be told! Mayoi swung the sword sideways. Shiro took a step backwards. Just like that, Mayoi missed and began to spin in the wobbly circles from the momentum of the swing. Put your weight on your feet. Shiro stepped on Mayoi's foot. It stopped her spinning. Do it again. I don't need your mercy! Mayoi swung again. Put your weight on your feet. Shiro's words repeated in her mind, and she found herself doing just that. This time she didn't spin, and stood firmly on the ground after swinging her sword. Very good. What will you do next? This! Mayoi swung backwards. Your movements are too big. Shiro stepped towards Mayoi's chest and hit the hand that was holding the sword. Ow! That's what happens when you make space for me to close in. How could you do that? If you hurt my hands, I wouldn't be able to work on the keyboard. You fail to remember that my right arm doesn't work because of you. Well, that's... You Sakashima siblings are so immature. What? The gong sounded. Round 1 over. And we're gonna keep going. I kind of want to just end this off here because that's a good stopping point, but I don't know. Yeah, why not? I'll end this off here. I hope you all enjoyed that. My name is Dragonite, and I will see you all later.